Hey there, we are going to be making a flower today out of our hand. Now, obviously, if your kiddo has a little hand, it's going to be a very cute flower. My hands are going to be kind of some massive flowers today, but that is okay, right? We are all special and unique in everything about ourselves, including our hands. So some supplies that you're going to need is you need paper. Good old copy paper works just fine. I'm going to be making lilies, and a lot of lilies are white. Or of course you can do colored paper. Great too. Construction paper works. And then if you have a pipe cleaner, that works. I do not happen to have any pipe cleaners at home, so I went in my backyard and found some twigs, and I'm going to be using a literal stick for a stem. Then you will want some glue and some tape and some scissors, and then something to draw with. And if you want to add any color to your flower, you could always have something to color with as well. So I've got a yellow scrap I used for another project, and then I've got a whole sheet of white paper. And the cool thing about using a whole sheet instead of a scrap sheet is you can actually fold your paper in half just like this, and with my big hands I'm able to fit one hand on a half sheet. But if you have kiddos with smaller hands, you might even be able to fold it in half again and fit their smaller hands on a fourth of a sheet, right, of paper. So go grab all your supplies that you think you're going to need, and grab your kiddos if you want. By the way, this would make a great bouquet to be able to give to somebody for a special occasion, right? So go grab your kiddos and let's get started. All right. I'm going to pull all this a little bit closer so you can see a little bit better. Oh, by the way, this is a tissue paper flower that we did in a previous video. So using a stick from my backyard. So you'll have to go check that video out. Now, like I said, I'm going to use my hand to trace. And of course I would use pencil personally if I were you, but use what you have. I've learned the hard way. If you use a marker to trace your hand, you will wind up with marker on your hand, but I have to use a marker so you can kind of see what I'm doing, what's going on. Okay, so slowly and carefully, or you can always kind of fix up your fingers when you go to cut out, right? And if you're using a pencil, you can always go ahead and erase and try again in spots if you need to. Don't panic about this, no worries, okay? Now, by leaving my paper folded, and if you were able to fold in fourths, leave it all folded, okay? Hold your paper on the opposite side of the scissors. Remember, thumbs on top, fingers on the bottom. I usually fit in as many fingers as I can in the oval finger hole. The thumb is typically in the circle hole. And I turn my paper as I make little chomps with my scissors, okay? Much easier than trying to twist my arm around, right? If all this gets in your way, then just cut it off, get rid of it, right? Okay, there we go. So we have kind of a clean working space here. There we go. And turn. Here we go. Okay, so now, perfect. Put these scraps aside. You could always use them for another project or recycle. So now you're thinking, how is this going to be a flower, right? And remember, I have more than one. What you're going to do before we turn it into a flower is we want to make the center of our flower, kind of the pollen-y area, right? So I'm going to do from the bottom of my hand up to at least the finger area. You could even go a little higher if you want to. You could go like to the first knuckle on the finger if you want. And what I'm going to do is I am going to cut out a rectangle. I would say this rectangle is about 1.5 inches. It's about 3 fingers wide, okay? And what I'm going to do is on one end of my rectangle, I am just going to do a snip, 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 and just keep doing this. And I'm going, further than halfway, maybe 3/4 of the way. Oop, almost snipped my finger there. Okay. Now I have this great fringe going on, right? Okay. So the way that this works is we want it to be wrapped around, oh goodness, construction paper is kind of hard to curl, isn't it? We want it to be wrapped around about like that. And then we want this to be inside of here, okay? And you can always go back and trim those shorter if you need to. So what I'm going to do is, since I know this goes on first and this goes on second, I'm going to do them in that order. Now, this is a twig from my yard, so I'm going to kind of think about, I don't know, about where this is going to lie. So I put that at the bottom. It'll probably, doesn't go quite halfway, but pretty close. So I'm going to do the yellow one first, okay? And I am going to roll this around my stick. And then this is where my tape comes into play, or you could use glue, whatever you have, okay? And I'm going to put the tape halfway on the paper, halfway on the stick, and wrap that up real good, okay? Just like that. So it's kind of spread out, just like that, okay? Then my hand is going to do the same thing. We wrap our hand around the stick, and like I said, the construction paper is a little tricky to get to go around the stick, okay? Hold on to that, get some more tape, or use glue. I personally think just good old clear Scotch tape is going to be your easiest bet. There's one piece. I'm going to put another piece on a little bit lower just to make sure I'm sticking to the paper and the stick, okay? So now we've got our little lily, okay? So we have our center and we have our petals. I feel like my center is a little much, so I am going to trim these back a little bit, just like that. Still kind of fluff them out some. Okay. Now, the next step to make this look a little bit more realistic, because when lilies open up, their petals curve backwards, don't they? So we are going backwards with our fingers, just like that. Pretty clever, huh? Use your pencil like a curling iron. You guys already knew that, though, I'm positive, because you all are very smart. There we go. One more. Ta-da! Oh my goodness. Yay! Look how fabulous that is. Now, what if you did multiple of these? Remember how some of you were able to make 4 of these? What if you did 4 or 6 or a dozen of them, and then you put them all together and wrap a big old ribbon around them, and you have a bouquet of lilies to give to a special someone that you care about, right? We always want to spread kindness whenever we can. We want to make people feel good. So I really enjoyed doing this very simple craft. Remember to always be patient with your projects. Sometimes they're a little trickier than what you think they will be. And remember, just rewind me whenever you need to and get back to something that maybe you got stuck on. So I really enjoyed doing this project with you. Please, please, please share this with anybody you know so that they can share kindness with people they care about. Thumbs up this, subscribe, all that fun social media stuff, and I hope that you have a very awesome day, and I cannot wait to do some more art with you.